Hello, trading is closed on the 10th of March 2025. As always, we'll do our disclaimer, we'll go over our calls, and then make our predictions. It's my trading plan for Tuesday, which is March 11th, 2025. Remember, it's a plan. I can change my plan. My plan can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. Also, there's construction going on. I'm told I might lose electricity for a few days this week. I'm going to try to do the videos elsewhere. I just can't guarantee I'll be able to. If there isn't one, that's the reason. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tomorrow should have the early low. This is a pattern which usually rallies into the close or has a straight line drop and closes near the low. But we clearly got the straight line drop. This isn't a close near the low, and typically I would expect to see us take out the lower high of day early tomorrow, but as I said over the weekend, this can be an irregular pattern, and I'm not really confident that will happen. We had a target, 57.2961. It was pretty far away from where we closed, but we got rid of that in short order. We have a new target that ultimately will see 56.3802. Doesn't have to print tomorrow, but it's pretty close, and usually, not always, usually you don't have to wait long. It's a reminder of what we said. We said we had broken support. If we ignored it and went up, that's fine, but if we confirmed it by taking out Friday's low, we had much lower targets. The most likely was either 55.40 or 53.87. Doesn't mean you hit them in a day, of course. Now, if you look at the chart, this is hard to see. You have two lines here. This is the target, and this is this green line is an old FOMC announcement price. And if you look at this old FOMC announcement price, you had support and then resistance. This is also an FOMC announcement price. And right in that area, you have support. So when you're dropping like that, if you want to catch the knife, these old prices from months and months ago, this was last autumn, can be an improvement over guessing on where to catch it. During the day, we got an ultimate buy signal. This rally was called false. It retraced. This drop was called false. It retraced. Notice here's where the support was, and the target was, quite a lot of points higher. If you want to guess, that's at least where to look for support. We haven't gone high enough to satisfy the ultimate buy signal. That gives us a target of 56.3802, but almost always you're going to get more than that when it prints, but it prints ultimately. It doesn't have to print tomorrow. We're really oversold here, obviously, on the daily chart. We're under the lower Bollinger Band, but we've broken through the 200-day moving average. We've broken through a lot of other support levels. A lot of sentiment levels that typically marked lows did not work. So, you're certainly oversold, but that doesn't mean the decline's over. Here on the weekly chart, we're putting a bar completely under the lower Bollinger Band. Now, of course, the week's not over yet. It just doesn't happen very often that you print bars completely under the band and just keep on dropping, but nothing stops us from going much lower first. It just is way oversold. This is one of those times when the mark stuff worked, and when it works with a long time frame, which a week is, it can lead to more sizable corrections. So it hasn't always worked in the past few years, but it certainly worked here. Well, I'm not happy about this breakthrough support, but it's a clear break, and I don't see any indication it's over, even though we could well go up tomorrow. And we have reasonable targets around 55.40 and 53.87. I'm going to stick with them. Of course, if that's the right count, you could retrace almost all the way to the origin of this wave 1 at under 5,200. I am not predicting that. But, I mean, there's no rule against it. When it starts to fall like this, you never know how low it's going to go. Well, tomorrow's pattern has a really low, which doesn't tell us where we open. Here we said the pattern was irregular today, so we can't count on the move over the high or under the low. Doesn't mean it won't happen, just means I won't predict it. Today's drop validated Friday's break of support. We have reasonable downside targets near 55.40 and 53.87. Other numbers might work. Now, short term, we gapped down, hit a lower low, but closed over midday lows. So if that's maintained, that should lead to higher prices printing, regardless of where we close, and we have an ultimate MEJT target at a higher price. There's no time limit on seeing it, but usually you don't have to wait long. I mean, we're collapsing like this. Here's the close. You'll see the last few hours didn't accomplish anything. I mean, this is hours of trading, and you didn't hold on to those lows, even though it was much lower. So I don't know where we'll open tomorrow. We could open down here, but if we can hold on to that, it usually leads to higher prices printing. It doesn't obligate us to have a higher close, and I can't say this decline's over, even though I can always come up with some kind of count that justifies it. I'm not seeing what I want to see at a low. I did see it earlier and it didn't work, to be very honest. So when that fails, it usually fails in grand style, and I'm not convinced this drops over. I still have those lower price targets, and the next one is 55.40, and after that's, what do we say? 53.87? Yeah, 53.87, and I actually would rather have the 53.87 target print, because then I could cross this number off the list and be down to only 3 targets for last year, and that's about, on average, what a typical year has, 2 or 3 targets that don't print out of 650. So it's the pattern with the early low. We hold on to this, we should trade higher. We have this higher target, but usually you're going to get more than the minimum. But even if we get the rebound, I think we have more to go on the downside, even though we're quite oversold here. And that is today's call.